Hello, welcome back to my very wet garden. Hurricane slash tropical storm slash tropical depression Debby has just gone past, but thankfully most of my garden does not look like this. This is actually the area that I call the back alley of the garden. Over here I have the vegetable garden, and over there is the rose garden. So I thought today, since everything is just completely sodden, we'd just take a walk around the garden and see some of the damage that was done by Hurricane Tropical Storm Depression Debby. So in my last video, you may have seen, hopefully you did see, if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. I took a bunch of cuttings, and this area right here is still completely, everything's flooded to one degree or another. This is probably one of the worst in-garden areas, I should say. What we shot in the beginning was behind us in, again, what I call the alley. Here, we're in the vegetable garden. I have my various potting benches here, and eventually I hope to have pavers, this whole area paved in. Even though the pavers may wind up going underwater because I'm there, I'm not going to bother trying to get this ground perfectly level. It won't at least be as slippery as it will tend to get here in the next week or so, because everything is here is just soaked and it'll just turn to mud and it's just pain. But thankfully, the rest of the vegetable garden doesn't look this bad. Let's take a look. Right here behind me are some of my sunflowers. I believe these are cherry brandy, and they have been putting on quite a show, but I think the show's over. I think these guys are gonna have to come out at some point this week because they are just looking tattered and torn, and I don't see any new flower heads. My lemon tree here had fallen over several times last year, and in the end, I think I was only able to harvest like 3 lemons off of it. Part of that problem was the pot feet that I had it on. And then, of course, you see all the lemons here, which makes the tree very top heavy. This year I put bricks underneath. I mentioned this also, I think, in my last video. And it held up with all the wind and the rain that we had. No problems whatsoever. And hopefully, pending any further disasters or hurricanes, I have an incredible harvest of lemons this year. Even these sunflowers that I have in the raised bed are looking a little tired, battered, worn. So I don't know. I'll probably leave these in for another week, maybe 2. We'll have to see how it goes and then rip them out. My turmeric loved all that rain. Turmeric is a tropical plant, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, leave a comment below. And it's, again, just looking really good. And I can't wait to harvest it come the fall. Down here are my sweet potatoes. Again, all the rain. My understanding is sweet potatoes love moist soil. And well, they're very soaked right now. So they're growing like gangbusters. The peanuts are growing like gangbusters. I have basil, which I had chopped back to next to nothing, and that's grown up quite a bit. I have cherry tomatoes, which are doing quite well. Not everything is perfect here, though, in the vegetable garden. Let's take a look at some of the other things that are going on. A lot of the zinnia need to be deadheaded, as well as this Mexican sunflower. Although right now it's crawling with bees and butterflies. I need to deadhead it, and I see one of the lower branches from here as broken. And I'm not sure if it's in shot, but this lemon queen sunflower, I believe it's called, is looking quite good. This trellis here, which I have a couple of different squashes growing on, and I'll talk more about that in the future, I almost lost due to the winds. They were catching some of the vine, and this thing almost fell over. But thankfully, I have some stakes on either end, which are fairly deep into the ground, and it held up. Some of the various squashes that I have here, I believe there's a cornucopia in the back, and then there's, I think a lemon squash here up closer to you guys here in the camera, up here in the foreground. They've all taken a beating, so I don't know what's going to be salvageable from all this, and I already see that there's various degrees of damage not only to the vines but to the fruit themselves. Peppers here, they're hanging in. They're doing pretty good. I need to go through, do a bit of thinning, harvesting, and then the cotton plant in the back. That one is also doing pretty good. So hopefully we get some nice balls of cotton from that. I'm not looking to harvest, it's just a fun plant to grow. Behind me here is my trellis of cucumbers. I was growing Richmond green apple. My wife loves them. They're a good summertime cucumber. They hold up to the heat and humidity quite fine, but between their age and then the excess water and the heat and humidity, I think these are done. So as another thing I have to clean up here. I don't know if I'll be able to get another crop in, or even if my wife wants another crop. I may just harvest these, let the beds rest for a bit, and then I think I may try to grow peas in the fall. Depending upon the weather, we can have our first frost as late as the end of November. Sometimes sooner, sometimes later, but again, it depends upon the weather. So I don't know, maybe. Right here, I have my peanuts, my second bed of peanuts, and they are doing spectacular. They, again, really like the heat, humidity, and moisture, so they're growing like gangbusters. As if my dahlias weren't beaten up enough. They've just taken more of a beating. In fact, there's one where it looks like the stem snapped. We did have wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Here's some more that are leaning over badly. So I have to try to restake. I'm gonna have to do some pretty heavy pruning. There are a couple here. I believe this is Lady Liberty, which have flowered and held up. But others, again, have just taken such a, it's again, a lot of moisture, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. And then of course the heat, which dahlias aren't huge fans of. So I need to do quite a bit of work in here. My Mexican sunflower out here by the street at the edge of the flower garden has put on a flower or two. Let's see, it looks like there's one that's coming in maybe, and one that's about to go out. And hopefully over the next month or so, it really fills up and they can get about 6 foot tall and about as wide. So hopefully this will really be a nice showpiece in the upcoming month. These coleus right here, they really did enjoy the rain. They've gotten much bigger since the last time I saw them. These marigold, although they look pretty good, let's see if I can get closer. Many of them gotten very soggy and they're falling over. So again, I'll think like everywhere else in the garden, I think I'm gonna have to come through, do a bit of a cleanup job. And I think we're supposed to have, hopefully, drier days over the next 5 days. Licorice white agastache right here. I did a severe cutback, last week I believe it was sometime. And due to all the excess rain and the moisture, surprisingly, this seems to have put on a nice growth spurt. So hopefully in the next month, it'll be nice and tall again, 4 foot tall, with lovely white flowers up top. And here in the rose garden, just a couple of videos ago, I was singing the praises of Big Blue Salvia here. And I still love it, and it is still done well. But I don't think the plant was expecting nor wanting anywhere from 8 to 10 inches of rain. 6 to 8, 8 to 10. Again, like I said, I lost count. It was a lot of rain. And this ground right here, even though I've improved it a lot over the years, there's still, if you go down probably about, I don't know, 8 to 12 inches, a layer of clay, which is one of the reasons why the ground here is so soggy, because all that water builds up. And we had rains prior to Debby rolling through, which made the ground already moist. Really didn't give the ground enough time for all that water to drain through. So, like I said, everything right now is very wet, very soggy, and Big Blue here is wilting because of all that wetness. But I'm pretty confident that it will, hopefully again over the next 5 days, as things start to dry out, it will start to bounce back, the leaves will get much firmer, and it'll be okay. Or I'm completely wrong and overly optimistic, and this plant is done for. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, everywhere there are weeds. This is just one little spot here in the rose garden where the weeds are just exploded. So I'm gonna have to come through and do quite a bit of weeding to get out all of these weeds here that you see growing all everywhere. And then of course, there's the elephant in the room here. Grass is out of control everywhere in the garden as a whole because, well, it's been raining for 4, 5, 6 days. I don't know, I've lost track. The last time this area right here where I'm standing in the grand walkway was mowed was probably roughly a week ago. And by the time everything starts to dry out to the point where I can start mowing again, the grass will probably be close to 2 feet tall, if not 2 feet tall in many spots. So mowing is going to be a challenge. And it's literally going to take me probably a couple of weeks to get everything back under control, even with just with the grass, let alone the rest of the garden itself. But I will get there, come out a little at a time, maybe take some more cuttings, do some deadheading in the various parts of the garden, tying plants back up, chopping other plants back, and in between it all, hopefully not having heat stroke, because even though the temperature is coming down, right now it's only about 80. And some of you may think that's really hot, but here in the good old southeastern United States, 80 is cool for the summer. But the humidity is right up there right now. Like I said, it's probably about 90% humidity. But a little at a time, I'll be getting everything back under control. And I think by this fall, everything will start to look really, really good again. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm trying to be optimistic. Like I said, some of these plants just have to be ripped completely out, such as the sunflowers, which are spent. A few other plants. That one dahlia where I saw the stem broken, I'm just going to cut that down at the stem, and maybe it'll regrow as long as the tubers themselves don't rot. And that's one of my biggest concerns with all this heavy rain, is the tubers may get too wet and then start to rot. Along with some of the other plants here, like maybe that salvia, where again, if the roots stay too wet for too long, root rot would develop and they may go over. If I'm wrong about any of this, or if you think I'm crazy or have your own comments, please leave those comments below. So that's really it. The storm didn't do serious or major damage to the garden, knock on wood. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. Hopefully I'll have something more exciting and better in the next video for you guys. If you have anything that you'd like to see more of, or any tips or suggestions, again, leave those comments below. Please check out all the links below. Sophie's inside where it's not so humid, much drier, and that's where I'm going to go join her in the air conditioning. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.